What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Real Talks with Jakub, where I interview doers, achievers, and go-getters and how they created their own luck and became successful. Today, we are here with Lexi Godlewski. Lexi is a coach who helps entrepreneurs and wannabe entrepreneurs build businesses that can make a true impact in the world. She's really good when it comes to helping you leave your 9-to-5 job and pursue your dreams. Why? Well, in 2017, she went through exactly that. She took that leap of faith and left a stable, comfortable income which full-time job offers, and she built her own business. And what's even better, she did it, and right now she's happier than ever before. So if you're considering that you will start your own business, but something is holding you back, this episode is for you. So keep listening. Welcome to the show, Lexi.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here.
Me too. And I'm excited till the moment when we started chatting on LinkedIn, because you said that you like real and raw conversation.
Yes,
Nothing
that's
scripted.
me for sure. Yes.
So I can assure you, only introduction which I just read was scripted. Nothing else will be in this interview. So Lexi, tell me about that leap of faith, because I know that so many people have some fear of leaving that stable job and stable income, and they don't have the courage to leave their job and take that leap of faith. So how did you do it? Why did you do it? And what was the effect of it?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much for that warm welcoming. And so a little bit more about my story is that a few years ago now, I kind of all my life, I followed the path that was laid out for me. And for me, that path was laid out of go to school, get good grades, go to college, graduate, get a full-time job, live happily ever after type of thing. And so all my life, that's essentially what I did was all throughout school, I was a high achiever. Like I strived for the good grades. I was in all the extracurricular activities. Like I did it all. And so I followed that path, and after I graduated college and university, I had got a full-time job that was in alignment with my major and everything I studied in school. And I was at this full-time job. I was on the outside what looked like I was crushing it. I had actually gotten promoted. I had gotten 2 pay raises. I was hiring someone to work underneath me, all within probably like 10 months. And I was fresh out of college. Yeah. So I was really thriving and succeeding at a quick rate. And this was supposed to be like the top of the mountain. Like this was what I strove for all my life. This was the map that was laid out for me. But I found myself at the top of the mountain, like, all right, I'm succeeding. Like I'm getting all of these, external things. On the outside, life looks perfect. I was in a relationship at the time. Everything looked great. And on the inside, I was so miserable and I was so unfulfilled. And in my mind, I was thinking, you've got to be kidding me. Like I just worked my butt off my whole life
the whole life.
Yeah, my whole life to get to this point, this was the top of the mountain, to have the full-time job with the benefits and the promotions and everything. So it was, first of all, an epiphany for me, because I was like, wait, I thought this was supposed to be the moment that we work for all of our lives. And yeah, I'm so unfulfilled. I'm so miserable. And I never felt like myself either, which was really interesting. And that was kind of the first time in my life that I really experienced that, where I was trying to fit in so much that I even cut my hair. Like I went out, got all new clothes. Like I really tried to fit in. And then at the end of the day, I'd still go to bed miserable, and I wouldn't want to wake up and go to work every day.
What job it was, Lexi?
Yeah, so it was a good job too. I was doing marketing and promotions for a company, and I was doing all of the behind the scenes work for any promos or giveaways that we did. So every month we'd have different giveaways and promotions that we do, whether it was like we're giving away t-shirts or a car or like whatever. So I was the mastermind behind all of that. And what I did was essentially lay out the promotions for each month, and then did everything throughout the process of, like, if we were giving away t-shirts, it would have to be figuring out, who are the vendors we're buying from? Like, what are the designs going to look like? How many do we order? When they come in, where are we going to put them? Where are we going to store them? All the way to actually executing the promotion the day of. So I was kind of the mastermind behind all of that behind the scenes work. And so I had a lot of responsibility like on my shoulders. I took on a lot. I'd find myself in meetings with a lot of like directors and VPs and everything. And so it was so interesting because this was like almost a twilight moment where I was like, I'm doing it, like I'm succeeding. And yet I was so unhappy and unfulfilled. And that's when, some alarms started to go off in my mind of like, is this really it now that I'm done with school and I'm done with everything? Like, is there more to life outside of this? And for me, it got to a point where it was so bad that I ended up getting depression, and I'd get anxiety attacks at work. I would hate getting out of bed every morning. Like I would dread the moment my alarm would go off in the morning. I would just hit snooze multiple times. And I was like a miserable person to be around when I got home, to be honest with you. And so I just got into this like very dark place. And I was like, this can't be it. Like there's got to be more to life than this. I'm not gonna like live the rest of my life like this.
Yes.
And I remember like as a kid, I've always had this idea of wanting to start my own business and wanting to do my own thing. And so that's always been a seed that's kind of been in the back of my mind to do that. And so when I was at this low point, I remember one day being at my desk, and there was a woman who worked there who was like probably almost double my age. And she came into the office one day, and she was asking like me and my manager a question. And I remember just looking up from my desk and seeing how miserable she also was. Like you could tell she hated being at work and she did not want to be there that day. And I just had kind of this aha moment where I was like, okay, if I stay here, like that's going to be me in like 20 years.
That's
And
scary.
or I could leave and follow my dreams and start my own business. And it was scary, where I literally sat there at my desk and had like this epiphany of kind of two roads paving the path right in front of me. And it got to a point where I was like, you know what, this isn't worth it. And if I want to follow my dreams, if I want to start my own business, I'm already at like a low point in my life. So what do I have to lose if I went and did this? Like at that point, it was like, well, I'll lose the security of the paycheck, but that's money. Like there's always the option to like make money and to have money, but I can never get my time back. Like I can make my money back one day if I lose it, but I can never be like this young again.
Sometimes it's best to ask like, what is the worst thing that can happen, right? And usually the worst thing isn't that bad.
Yes, I know.
You can
That's
always
exactly
get
how I
another
was
shitty
feeling.
job.
Yes, yeah. And so one of the things that was kind of a reoccurring question in my mind that I still ask myself to this day was when I was sitting at my desk kind of having that aha moment of the two roads, and I can stay here, I can leave. One of the questions that came up in my mind was, if I didn't do this, if I didn't like start my own business, would I regret it at the end of my life? And the answer was an immediate yes. And because of that, I knew like this is something that I have to do, period. Because if I don't do it, I'll regret it at the end of my life, and like I don't want to live with that regret.
So do you think that when you had these depressions and you really weren't happy, do you think it was because of the disconnection of what you're doing every day and between what you really want?
Yeah, I think you're really onto something with that. For me, I think there was a disconnection with who I truly am and the work that I'm here to do, which is deeper. It's more of a calling than it is just a job or a business. And that I truly believe that I was so disconnected from who I truly am. And because I did things to try and fit in, and I cut my hair and I got new clothes, and like I did everything to try and fit in. What I was actually doing was taking steps away from who I truly am. And I think that's when the depression started to kick in. That's when the anxiety started to kick in. And for me, I'm a very like holistic person. So I think our bodies are continually kind of having conversation with us and everything. And I think the depression, the anxiety was my body's way of just trying to get my attention and be like, wake up, like we need to take a different path, like we need to take a detour. So I definitely believe that those things were kind of my body trying to wake me up and get me realigned with who I am and the work that I'm here to do.
Hmm. So you are at this shitty job, and you see your colleague standing above you, looking miserable. Um, did you decide on that day that this is the last day here?
um, I did not. So that was just another seed planted in my mind of, okay, like I should probably do something about this. But at that
Hmm.
point, I was still way too nervous to actually do anything about it. And I was still nervous to, I still had to muster up that courage, like you mentioned in the beginning,
Yes.
to take that leap and to follow that. And so to get really real, I will tell you the defining moment that it happened for me.
Hmm.
So probably a few weeks or a couple months after that moment, we were having a promotion that morning, and so I was getting everything set up for it and whatnot. I'd gotten into work, and one of my coworkers, actually, she wasn't there by the time I got into work in the morning, and I needed her help for something for the promotion. And so um I was kind of like worried because we're like, all right, we have to like do this promotion at like noon, and it's 10 a.m. right
Hmm.
now,
Hmm.
and we don't know
Hmm.
where she is. And so we started to get a little worried, like people started to call her and text her, and they didn't hear anything. But there were also tons of meetings happening that morning
Yes.
for like training and that type of thing. So we're like, all right, she probably went to one of like the mandatory trainings, and she'll come in after. And the day just continued progressing, and like we still haven't seen her. So that point we were like, all right, like really we're genuinely concerned and worried, like where is she? And so the day continued to unwind and everything. And long story short, one of my coworkers had found the found her boyfriend's found her boyfriend on like Facebook or something, and somehow found his number. And she called him, and long story short, we all found out that day that she had committed suicide the night before
Wow.
that day. And it was a moment, like I can still flash back to that moment in my mind of like seeing my coworker find out the news, and just like tears start like streaming down her eyes. And that moment for me completely shook my world, which like this part of the story I don't always include in it because it's so like deep.
Hmm.
But that was a moment that really shook my world because I had worked right next to this woman every day, and I had no idea that she was depressed and that she was unfulfilled or feeling that way. And like she also had no idea that I was depressed and anxiety attacks and feeling this way.
Hmm.
And so that shook my world, where I was like, who else out there is feeling depressed and unfulfilled, and I have no idea? Like if I was working next to this woman every day and I had no idea, like who, you can't get closer to that, like
Yes.
who else is out there doing that? And so after that happened, I would go back and sit in meetings, and we'd be talking about the next like promo giveaways we're doing. And I remember one in specific, we were talking about whether we should give away like a coffee maker or an espresso machine. And in that meeting, I just sat there and thought to myself, like, I can't keep sitting here talking about these things. Like, there's a bigger impact to be made than just like a coffee maker or an espresso machine. And so
Hmm.
that was like my epiphany. And like after that moment, like I put my 2 weeks in after that, because I was like, I like people are genuinely hurting, and like I need to do something about this if I'm able to. And so
Yes.
that was the moment for me that I was like, all right, I can't do this anymore. And I just took a deep breath and I put my 2 weeks in, and I was like, you know what, I don't care what other people have to say, I don't care what other people have to think about this. Like this is something that I just need to do, period. And ultimately it was a step that I needed to take, that kind of unfolded
Hmm. Hmm.
naturally. And I just got to the point where I was like, I can't not do something about this.
Hmm. Wow. Thanks a lot for sharing it.
Yeah,
um,
it's a wild,
yeah.
wild story. Yeah.
Usually, when it comes to like ends of relationship, either work or romantic relationships, it's not that
Hmm.
one big thing which would end it, like which would define that right now it's ending. It's all these little things stacked on top of each other, and then there's that last one, really
Yeah,
last
the
nail to the
last
coffin.
domino,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, do you think that that was that horrible news you received?
Yeah, I think that was the last domino for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it's fascinating because I think back, and of course I think to myself, like, is there anything I could have done differently? Like, is there anything I could have said or done to change things? And what I've kind of concluded from this experience and this story is that, like, I was like, her and I were both meant to be in each other's stories, where I think if I worked in a place where that didn't happen, or if I worked in a place that I like loved my job, I would not be where I am today, you know. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, like, her story, like, her and I were both supposed to impact each other the way we did, and I believe now that I was meant to kind of go through this experience to learn from it and to start this kind of movement that I've started, and this
Yes.
drive to see how much I can impact the world, and help other people. But I think that for me was the last straw and the last domino that kind
Mm-hmm.
of knocked
Mm-hmm.
everything over, and kind of pushed me off
Mm-hmm.
the edge to start my own thing.
Regarding to not being fulfilled, even though that everybody thinks that you're fulfilled and that you're killing it, I heard quite an interesting analogy. It's basically that the sun is shining through the window, like you have all the sunshine on
Mm.
you, but you don't feel any warmth, right? And
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's exactly how I felt when I was doing something not so fulfilling. It was like everything looks so good, but the effect wasn't there.
Hmm. I know, that's so powerful, and I think I feel like up until the moment of really starting my own business is like I was the one to kind of close those doors, and
Yes.
let the light not shine in. And I once I started my business, and once I kind of gave myself permission to just be myself and let that be okay,
Mm-hmm.
I started to like open those doors more and like let the light
Mm-hmm.
shine in
Mm-hmm.
and feel the warmth versus just closing it off
Mm-hmm.
and not letting
Mm-hmm.
it in.
Yeah, I mean, you started closing it off right when you started cutting your hair and changing the
Yeah.
clothes, right? And I mean,
Yes, totally.
it takes courage to like start opening it again and being vulnerable. Yeah.
Totally. It
So
does.
okay, so you receive these news, 14 days passed, and you decide that all right, I'm done. So what is happening next?
Next, I was like, what the hell am I doing?
So
It's like, what?
you didn't have a plan, right?
I literally had no plan, right?
Okay.
Like, one of the things, so when I started, I started by, so now I'm a marketing strategist and a coach. So my background is in marketing. And when I was in college, and here's another twist to the story that you haven't heard yet. So when I was in college, I was doing an internship my senior year, and I was doing marketing for this HR consulting company. And so one of the consultants who worked there, I thought her job was so cool. So I asked her, after work one day, can we get drinks and I can just like ask you about what you do, because I think it's awesome. And she said, yeah. So we did, and we met, and I said, what do you do? I need to know. It's so cool. And she said, I'm a consultant for this company. I also run my own life coaching business on the side. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that sounds cool. Like, what is that all about? And she started like explaining to me and everything. And I found that I've been kind of naturally coaching people all throughout my life, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that it was coaching. So her and I created this barter where she would coach me, and in return, I did her marketing for her coaching
Mm.
business. So as a senior in college, I was able to work with a coach one-on-one and like start learning about it. And she was also mentoring me. So I literally started like coaching people and consulting businesses from my college
Mm-hmm.
dining hall. And so I kind of always had that seed planted in my mind that was
Yes.
something I wanted to do. So then I left college, I graduated, I got the full-time job. Once I was miserable, I said, I'm leaving, I'm starting my own business. And I was still working with the same coach. And I was saying to her, like, I want to be a coach. Like, I want to be a coach and help people with their marketing and everything. And so when I had quit, I had one client that came to me who was looking for help building a website. And I was like, you know what, I can do that for you. And I took on that client. And at the same time, I went to school for coaching to learn how to coach properly and everything. And so while I was doing that, I was taking on marketing clients and just doing little side work like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
websites and some graphic design work and that type of thing. And so that kind of naturally evolved through word of mouth and whatnot. And then from there, once I kind of built up my confidence with coaching and started working with some more clients, I started doing coaching more full on, but like, to be honest with you, I did not have a plan when I started. I literally started with two things. I tell people I started with the idea that life could be better, which it could be, and the knowing that everything is figure outable with Google and
Yes.
with the internet. Like, I can figure it out as I go. And honestly, that's what I quit my job with and started my business on, just knowing that like I can have a better life and I can
Hmm.
figure it out as I go. And I took the leap, and I learned how to swim once I jumped in.
How did it feel when you made a decision?
Terrifying. It felt so, and I remember like the first day opening my computer and being like, all right, like this is the first day of
All right,
entrepreneurship. And I'm
first
like,
day.
that was literally it. I was like, all right, well, I should probably start by like forming my business. So I went online and like formed my LLC. Like, that's literally where I started. And then I honestly just started like learning and growing from there and making mistakes along the way, and then, failing and picking myself back up and keep going. Um, but literally that's how I started my business, without a game plan, without any prior experience in business or in entrepreneurship, and just learning and growing along the way.
But you still, I think, had an idea, at least a little bit, what you want to do, what you want to be coaching. So what was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I had the idea that I just wanted to like help people create the lives that they actually wanted. And like that, the story of like my coworker committing suicide really made that clear for me, of like I was unfulfilled in my own life, like she was unfulfilled in her life, and I want to help people realign with what actually fulfills them. And
Hmm.
then once I got into it, I was like, all right, I really love the marketing stuff too. Like, I don't love the website design and the graphic design, that type of thing, but I love the marketing strategy,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
love helping people strategize and create a game plan on how they can make a bigger impact and how they can align with who they are and the gifts that they have,
Hmm.
and make more money so that they can change their life and their business. And so that's kind of when the two started to merge together, of the strategy and the coaching aspect.
Okay.
And that's when I kind of fell in love with helping people map out that strategy and that game plan for them.
Hmm. So helping people live better. I mean, it can have like a lot of different meanings. It can be money, it can be
Mm,
health, it can be
yeah.
relationship. But as far as I know, you're more focused on that career side, right? Career, like money and stuff.
More of the business side for entrepreneurs
Yes.
specifically, and like helping entrepreneurs really get clear on the business that they're building and helping them reach their goals in that, but then also at the same time making sure that their life isn't falling apart while they're
Mhm.
building this business,
Yes.
and making sure that both are kind of elevating and rising, and they're achieving their goals in both business and life, and finding this beautiful blend of both.
Hmm. So you're not like that super laser focused. I know that many coaches are just coaching one thing and that's it. But you're more broad and, as you said, like more holistic approach.
Yeah, like I said, I am very holistic, so I've just seen it like in myself as well as other clients. It's like if we focus 110% of our focus and attention just on one area, it's like it's easy for another area to start falling, and then you can't focus all of your time and energy on your business, because say you have kids and like your kids aren't getting the attention that they need, and everything. And so I've just seen it come up where we need to take a holistic approach into it, and craft like the life and business that's truly aligned with like who you are and what you want.
Hmm. So you help entrepreneurs or people who are just starting out, or maybe still have their day job.
So mainly entrepreneurs, and so a lot of them, once they kind of leave their day job, that's when I start working with them through that process. But actually, I take that back, because one of my past clients I had was still in his 9 to 5, and he was kind of mapping out his exit strategy and his strategy for starting his own thing and everything. So I guess it is a mixture, but it mainly is entrepreneurs who are just getting started or ready to like revamp and take
Hmm.
their
Hmm.
life or business to the next level.
So you feel more confident when it comes to helping people who already made the decision.
I no, honestly, it depends on the person. It depends
Okay.
on, everyone is unique and everyone's
Uh-huh.
different. So it really
Uh-huh.
depends on where they're at in their journey, and like where they need, more support and that type of thing. But that's just, I think entrepreneurs are the ones who have been naturally, gravitating towards me because they're ambitious and they're hungry for more results and they want to take things to the next level. So I think it's kind of been a natural progression
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
entrepreneurs have kind of gravitated towards me. But I have helped people in the past too that are just getting started in their 9 to 5, or not just getting started in their 9 to 5, getting started to exit their 9 to 5,
Yes.
and get started in entrepreneurship. So it's been a cool mix of both, but
Hmm.
definitely I think the
Hmm.
entrepreneurs gravitate towards me a little bit more.
Okay, so when you are working with these entrepreneurs, I think you already
Hmm.
know some pattern or some similar thing when they approach you. So what is usually their like starting point when they start working with you?
In like their business or like where they're at, like what do you mean?
Yeah, let me give you an example. Yesterday, I
Yeah.
was recording a podcast with Kyle Elliott, and he said that most of his clients, he helps them land jobs they like. Most of his clients approach him and they say, "I'm stuck," right? They don't know where to
Mm,
go. So have you seen something similar in your when you're working
totally.
with clients? Something that they want to do something and they don't know how to do it, how to achieve it. So I'm interested. What is this something?
Yeah, totally. So, um, I'd say most of my clients want to create a business and they want to turn this dream they have for the business they want into a reality.
Hmm.
And they're stuck in terms of they don't know how to do that, or they don't know where to get started,
Okay.
or they have started and they keep dropping the ball because they don't have the focus and the accountability and that type of thing. And so I'd say that's kind of where I've stepped in to help people really get clear on what that is and then
Hmm.
actually start creating, a game plan and steps to turn that dream into a reality. So I'd say
Hmm.
most people kind of get stuck in, I have this dream, I have this idea, now what?
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
that's where I kind of step in and help them actually map it out and turn the dream into a reality.
So you have a process which works to pretty much any business idea.
It's essentially, I've worked with more kind of online entrepreneurs who want to create online businesses and that type of thing. But definitely with coaching, like I was just with a client before I hopped on this podcast, and I was explaining to him as well that I meet my clients like where they're at. And in coaching, like I believe that I'm the expert of the coaching model, but each of them are the experts of their own lives and their own businesses. So I
Hmm.
meet them where they're at and like let's walk this path together and let's help you get from where you are to where you want to be, and I'll help you guide and transform and get there.
Yes.
But I'm going to meet you where you're at versus just a strict process of like do X, Y, and Z and blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
Because like I do have the process of transformation in my mind of point A to point B, but I'm really passionate about like helping people where they're at and helping them through the unique challenges they're facing and helping them celebrate the unique wins that they have too, and really just walking that journey with them.
Yes. You mentioned accountability. So I think accountability is one of the best things when it comes to coaching, because you have a coach, you have
Mhm.
somebody in your corner, and they're just making sure that you're doing the things that you should be doing. So how do you hold your clients accountable? How do you do it?
I would say that honestly, so for me, when I give my clients, like work to do after our meetings or that type of thing, because I work with such like ambitious entrepreneurs, they're
Hmm.
hungry to succeed and they're hungry to grow. So I actually haven't had, like, knock on wood, I haven't had the problem of people not doing things
Yes.
because they're so passionate about what they're doing. But if that does happen, and if they don't get to tasks on their to-do list, or they don't do it, we explore that option. We say, what came up? Like I'm not here to like yell at you and be like, oh, you didn't do it, like how dare you. I'm here to say, what happened, like what came up in the way, what stopped you from doing this, and let's really explore that. Because if it was, say, a fear of putting yourself out there, a fear of starting your podcast, like let's talk about that. Or if it
Hmm.
was, you're you don't have like a schedule down, you haven't created, a schedule for the day, like, let's talk about that. Let's help you create a routine. And
Okay.
so for me, if there's no lack of accountability. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I hold my clients accountable to doing what they say they're going to do. But if something happens where they don't do it, we explore it and we figure out what's a
Yes.
better route or what's a better alternative compared to last time. And then once we
Mm-hmm.
find that and once we work that out, boom, they do it. And then we move on to the next thing. So I think that's been really cool to
Mm.
see.
Yeah, I completely agree when it comes to like structuring your day and having the right habits in
Mm-hmm.
place to create the proper foundation to reaching the thing you want to reach, right? Because it really, we are creatures of habits, and it really comes down
Mm-hmm.
to doing what needs to be done, disciplined. So, Lexi, tell me about your habits. How does your routine, daily routine look like? Do you have like very structured morning when you do one thing after another?
It's so funny because I feel like I go through spurts, to be honest with you, where sometimes I'm super focused and I'm like, yes, I wake up and I meditate and I work out and I like do all the things,
Uh-huh.
all the things you hear in the personal growth world. And then there's other mornings, like this morning, for example, like my alarm went off and I was like, I just need to like lay in bed for 20 more minutes. Like, I just need to listen to my body and that type of thing. So it's funny because I go through times where I'm like super in like masculine energy, like I
Yes.
need to hustle and like go 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 and like push harder and blah blah blah. And then there's other times like this morning where I'm like just listening to my body. I'm like, I just need to sit here and like think. Like, I just need to sit here and think through my thoughts or like think through my day and not
Hmm.
be so hardcore. So it's funny because I kind of float in between both of
Hmm.
those.
Hmm.
But for things that I do on a daily basis, whether it's in the morning or just sometime throughout the day, is first of all, exercise and move my body. Even if that's just like, I need to just do some jumping jacks and some push-ups and it's like 10 minutes, awesome. But I need to move my body every day. And sometimes I'll even just like put on music and like dance around while I'm like doing the dishes or something. Like, I need
Yes.
I need that movement in my life. Next thing is journaling for me. I have so many thoughts and ideas. Like, my brain is constantly going. And so for me, sometimes I just need to get those thoughts and ideas down on paper and like
Hmm.
write them
Hmm.
out. So journaling is huge for me, for that. And then also meditation is huge for me as well. I'd say those are like my top three every day. Like, I need to be doing these things. And meditation has helped me a lot to quiet my mind. Like I said, it's constantly going. So to quiet my mind, like realign with who I am and get some major insights and everything, like those three things have been a major impact for me. And whether I do them in the morning or just sometime during the day, like those are three things that definitely I always make sure get into my schedule for the day.
So it's interesting. You either do it in the morning or in the evening, meditation or journaling.
Totally. Yeah. Cause I'm holistic in that way where I'll just like listen to my body. And like
Hmm.
yesterday I got home from work, but I still had some things I needed to do on my computer when I got home. And I was like, you know what? I just need to like refocus and meditate for 20 minutes. And so that's what I did. So I sat and meditated for 20 minutes and then I grabbed my computer and I like got back into work. And sometimes I just need that. Like, for me, it's like a pick me up in the middle of the day, where if I feel like I'm sitting and just like focused on my computer all day, I'm
Yes.
like, oh, I need to like either move or like change my environment or do something. So for me, if I meditate like during the day too, that will be like a pick me up for me as well versus just at the
Hmm.
beginning of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. All right, Lexi. Last question.
Yeah.
Tell me about your podcast. Who are the people you are usually talking to?
Yes.
Because you run a podcast as well, don't you?
Yes, I do. So my podcast is called Building My Empire, and it documents my entire transformation of building my business from the ground up. So it talks about both the highs and the lows, and I like take my listeners through my journey with me of things I learn, experiences I have, cool people I meet, and kind of take them along this entrepreneurship journey as well with me and share with them all the things I'm learning and growing through. And so the people on my podcast too are just cool people I meet along the way, whether it's from a LinkedIn message or whether it's from a networking event or whatever. It's really cool because growing up, like, I've always been told, don't talk to strangers, like blah, 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 don't talk to strangers.
Yes.
And it's funny because the more that I send like LinkedIn messages to random people, or like you randomly sent me a LinkedIn message and we connected and like now we're here. It's so cool because you never know who you're going to
Yes,
meet. So the
exactly.
more that I'm willing to like put myself out there and either message people on LinkedIn or say hi at a networking event or whatever, it's cool because I just meet all of these really neat, really interesting people with cool stories. And then, I share that on my podcast as well as like different people I've met, how we met, and their stories as well.
And I mean, especially when you're working online, usually I think by your cell phone, it's always amazing to
Mm-hmm.
talk to people on podcasts
Yes, I
or just on
know.
calls.
Same, yeah. Definitely, because entrepreneurship can be super lonely,
Yeah.
especially when you're just starting out and working by
Uh-huh.
yourself.
Uh-huh. Lexi, I always want to end the episode on something very like actionable. So
Yeah.
do you have an advice for somebody who just left their 9 to 5 job? They want to build their own business. Um, so what advice would you give this person, which can they apply, I don't know, today or next week? So what would it
Mm-hmm.
be?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes up for me is whether you're in your 9 to 5 and you want to leave, or you just left, or you're an entrepreneur, wherever you are in your journey. I think um, what's really crucial is to first of all acknowledge and either like write out or do a voice memo to yourself or whatever it is, like write out all of these dreams and all of these things that you want to have or you want to do or you want to be, like write them out, get them out of your head and onto paper or onto like a voice recording or something. And then second of all, give yourself permission to go do those things, because I think for me, like one of the things that held me back for so long was waiting for other people to give me permission to go and
Hmm.
do these things. And if I kept waiting for them to give me permission, I would still be waiting, like it never would have happened. So I was waiting to give myself permission and to believe in myself. So for me, it's like, go write out all those dreams that you have, all those things that are in you, and you really want to be, do, or have, and then give yourself permission to go and do them. Like believe in yourself, give yourself permission, and then just take whatever the next step is to get you like one step closer to those things.
Yes.
Just do that one step, because I think so many of us get overwhelmed by everything we have to do, all
Hmm.
the steps of the process, and then we just get overwhelmed and we shut down. We're like, oh, I can't do all of this, who am I? But if you just focus on like the next step and you do that, then you'll see the next step, and then you do the next step and you'll do that. And if
Hmm.
you keep
Hmm.
doing that, like you'll end up here on a podcast like talking about your story and your experience, so um just like focus on one step at a time, give
Yes.
yourself permission, and if you do
Uh-huh.
that, like you can be, do, or have anything.
Love it. So let me quickly summarize it. 3 things.
Yeah.
Write down all your
Yeah.
dreams and goals. Give yourself
Hmm.
permission. Don't wait for others to give you permission, and take one step at a time. You can eat elephant just by the first bite, right?
Yes. Yes, that's exactly it.
All right, Lexi. So where can people learn more about you if they like what they hear, if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. If they want to connect, they can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn at Lexi Godlewski. Or if they want a free copy of my book, they can go to 17successsecrets.com. And it's everything I wish I knew before I left my 9 to 5 to start my own business.
Amazing. So Instagram or LinkedIn or your website.
Yes, that'd be perfect.
All right, Lexi, thanks a lot for coming to this podcast. I really appreciate it. It was a great discussion.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be on. Thank you.
And guys, please, if you brought you some value, if you liked what Lexi was saying and sharing, please share this episode with your friends. You can either share the YouTube link if you're watching it on YouTube, or you can take a screenshot of Spotify or iTunes, wherever you're listening to, and send it to friends, post to stories, and let other people learn from Lexi's knowledge as well. So, Lexi, thanks again. It was amazing. And I believe that we can do it in the future again.
Love it. Thank you so much.